All right, I promised NFL football talk yesterday, and here we go. We're going to go rapid fire. We're going to go through my thoughts on every single game from the past week. Full recap of every game, the thoughts I have, just kind of a quick headline, so to speak, of what I thought of that game, what I think it means for each of the teams involved. All right, let's jump right into it. So, the Thursday night game, haven't talked about that. Chiefs Broncos. Chiefs win. The Broncos offense is still terrible. Defense played a lot better than normal. But, so good for them. 19 points given up to a Chiefs offense when your offense does absolutely nothing. Not too bad. But still, the Broncos, that offense is just a mess. It has been ever since Russell really got there, for the most part. And there's not a lot you can do to fix it. We talked about this a few weeks ago. The Broncos need to, I think, draft a quarterback. That way they can have a cheap star quarterback and kind of get out of that Russell Wilson contract. It's just not doing them any favors. Ravens Titans, part of the international series, right, of games, and Ravens get the win. Titans, it feels very much like this is exactly how we expected it to go. The Titans are a 2-4 team. Ravens are a 4-2 team. Ravens win. Now, some concerns, though, in that the Ravens can't get into the end zone a little bit here. This has been a couple weeks now with the Ravens, I feel like, that they have struggled to put up a lot of points in some games. They have had some injury issues. Lamar's having to do a lot, right? He leads the team in rushing and passing last week. They lose to Pittsburgh. They scored 10 points. They did put up 28 on Cleveland's defense, which is very impressive. They lose to Indianapolis, 19 points. There's some concerns there. I think there's a little bit of a trend here where the offense maybe not getting in the end zone like they need to. They get the win. They score 24, but a lot of field goals, not a lot of touchdowns there in this week. Commanders, I don't know what to do with them. Sometimes Howell looks like the next incarnation of Peyton Manning, and sometimes he really doesn't. But happy to see Commanders getting a win. If you watched my season preview video, you know I was pretty high on the Commanders coming into this season. They are doing all right. The Falcons, I think you're drafting a quarterback. Desmond Ridder, I just don't think he's going to be your franchise guy. Howell, I think, has shown moments of being a franchise guy. We'll have to see how it goes. But the Falcons, I think you're looking at a quarterback here at some point in the near future. That was their first loss at home. Definitely been playing better at home, but still, I just don't think Ritter's the future. Vikings and the Bears. Man, two just not great teams. I'm not sure if there's a lot to say here. Bears still are struggling on offense. The Vikings are the Vikings. I don't really have a lot of thoughts. Two not very good teams. Cousins, at this point, looks like he's not going to waive the no-trade clause, so he is going to play out the contract, and so they're going to be stuck as a Vikings ownership. He's a free agent, right? So he's going to be able to go get some money somewhere. And I don't think the Vikings are going to pay them. I think the Vikings are looking at a new quarterback. Bears, I'd say draft a new quarterback, right? Justin Fields is obviously not working, but there's a lot of offensive problems there at the Bears. They don't have a lot of weapons, but Justin Fields does not seem to be the answer. Now, is there a need for different coaching as well as a new quarterback? Yeah, probably. But they're going to be up there. I don't think Fields is the guy long term, so I think they're drafting a quarterback. Two teams probably drafting a quarterback this offseason. Bengals get a win. an ugly one. Again on offense, jump out to a 14-10 lead. Just can't get in the offense, but their defense is playing incredible. Bengals defense is on a tear, absolutely on a tear. But if you look, my concern, Bengals, Joe Burrow, that calf injury, that ankle, whatever it is exactly that's hobbling him, he just can't seem to throw the ball downfield. You look at the year stats for Burrow, he's averaging 5 yards of completion. That is not good. Completion percentage is okay. Touchdown to interception ratio, okay. But 5 yards of completion is not going to cut it. And so that's a big concern for the Bengals. They cannot throw the ball downfield. Don't know what happened. They were a bit of a big play offense in the past. So that's concerning. Seahawks, you just ran into a really good defense. And, hard-fought win. I think these are two decent teams with some problems. Bengals offense, I just don't think they're explosive enough. Seahawks, do they really have the talent at the top end to really compete or have a player take over a game? I'm not sure if they do. Browns upset the 49ers, hand the 49ers their first loss. This Browns defense is just really good. I don't think people were talking about them enough coming into this year, or this year really, or into this game. Made Brock Purdy look human. He was missing McCaffrey there in the second half, which is tough. Oftentimes it's much more difficult to lose a star player like that in the game rather than before the game, because at least if it happens in practice or if you have a week to prepare, you can, game plan for it. 49ers obviously did not have a game plan for McCaffrey going out there for the second half, but could not overcome the Browns. Browns are just a great defense. The offense, not sure it's electric, but very, very solid defense. Panthers, Dolphins. Man, the Panthers. I said some people were high on Bryce Young, and I was like, they are going to be terrible. And they are terrible. They're 0-6. They're just bad. And you can't blame Bryce Young for all of it, obviously. The team is just bad. Dolphins did what they do to bad teams. Put up a whole lot of points. And overcame, a 14-point deficit early in that game, but it was just kind of a matter of time, in my opinion. So, Dolphins, good team, definitely good at beating up on bad teams. I'll be very curious how they handle, some of the better teams. Bills really kind of handed it to them. So, didn't really learn much. I already knew the Panthers were bad, and I already knew the Dolphins were good at beating bad teams. Jags, Colts. Colts, they're missing their quarterback. Jags, Trevor Lawrence did have a bit of an issue with his knee, but looks like he still might start on Thursday night. Short week for them. Would be concerned about that, but Jags are good. Jags are good. They beat a Colts team missing their starting quarterback. They score, 14 points in the fourth quarter. That's pretty good, but that's really kind of junk time scoring. I mean, if you think about it, they're up, 31-6 going in, and so you can't really blame them for giving up a couple of touchdowns, probably backups, and you're just not trying as hard. Texans, Saints. CJ Stroud is the man. Very impressed with him. His numbers aren't incredible, but it's a good defense from the Saints, and he's just winning games. I think the Texans over-under this season was 5 wins. So to be at 3-3, well done, CJ Stroud. Very impressed with him so far this season. And, they're a stop away last week from being a 4-2 team, which is up there with some of the best in the NFL. Raiders, Patriots. Two kind of mediocre teams. Mac Jones just can't get there. Jimmy G going out with the back injury. That is the big story out of this game. What is his health moving forward? They were up 16-10 at one point there. Get enough late to take the lead, but the big concern is Jimmy Garoppolo. With him there, they're a B-plus team. With him not there, probably a C-, maybe D-plus team. Patriots continue to be mediocre, continue to not really have a strong, powerful offense, not be able to win these games. They're 1-5. And that's just crazy for a Bill Belichick team, because typically we expect Bill Belichick teams to be much better than they are. But he hasn't gotten the offense right in years, so unfortunate. Patriots are bad. We already knew that. Big questions for the Raiders should Jimmy G miss extended time. Rams handle the Cardinals. Kyren Williams seems to be one of the best finds for the Rams. I know as a Notre Dame fan, I was always a huge fan of his, so excited to see him doing well in the NFL. Cooper Kupp returning has given him a bit of a spark as well. Puka Nacua is still solid. As long as Matt Stafford stays healthy, this Rams team is going to be good. Cardinals, for a minute there, we wondered, hey, maybe this is a Cardinals team that's going to win a few games. Maybe they're not as bad as we thought. They're pretty bad. Dobbs can do some things, but they're in the Caleb Williams, Drake May sweepstakes here for quarterbacks in this upcoming draft. Eagles, this was the other big surprise. Both 5-0 teams coming in lost this week. Eagles losing to the Jets was the bigger surprise. I don't think anybody predicted that one, really. But hey, give it to the Jets. Their defense has not quit. That was a big question of mine when Aaron Rodgers goes out. Kind of feels like the season's almost over. Like at that point, like, man, we were so excited for Aaron, expected to be a playoff team, and then, he goes out instantly. How would the defense respond? They responded in that first game with a win, and they're sitting there at 3-3. They are a tough out. That defense is very good. You make some mistakes. Breece Hall's a solid player. If Zach Wilson plays mistake-free football or as close to it as he can, that defense is going to keep him in a lot of games. So, very impressed with the Jets. Unfortunate for the Eagles. Man, you gotta be able to put that one away. So, tough loss for the Eagles, but I think this is one of those times of the year where these undefeated teams, maybe they're walking into some of these thinking they're just better. A good loss, good time to lose for the Eagles and the Niners. I think they bounce back and are dominant. Kind of a bit of that wake-up call that a lot of coaches will talk about. Lions and Bucks. Man, the Lions are like one of the most fun teams to watch in the NFL this season. Just a great story. Half of me is like, I don't even know why they're good or why they're winning, but they just keep winning games. Offense, defense, special teams, they just find a way to win, and you got to give them credit for that, and that's really awesome. Really awesome. Very excited for the Lions this season. The Bucks have been a bit of a surprise at 3-2, but Lions, big surprise this season. Good to see them winning. Bills, Giants, a sloppy game. You feel bad for the Giants, man. They kick all the field goals. The Bills score 14 points in the fourth quarter and win. Like, man, that offense is just not able to finish off drives, not able to consistently move the ball. And the Bills were able to find a way to win. So you got to give them, some credit for that. Now, the Giants are playing with Tyrod Taylor in a quarterback who's not Daniel Jones, but I don't think there's a big gap. I don't think there's a big gap between those two. So that finished off the week of Sunday games, and then we had the Monday night game last night. Cowboys-Chargers. Good win for the Cowboys. Absolutely a good win for the Cowboys. Uh, they beat a decent team. You know, sometimes the criticism has been Cowboys when they play somebody legit, they struggle. That Cowboys defense seems to be settling in a little bit. The Diggs injury really kind of threw him for a loop, I think. But Chargers, Justin Herbert. I mean, that contract, everybody wants to talk about him being great. And once again, just not enough. And I don't, you can blame other people, but some of it's got to go on Justin. And, you know, does he have that signature win? He's starting really, and this is kind of what I mainly wanted to talk about today. Justin Herbert is starting to become the quarterback I saw at Oregon. Pretty darn good. Everybody says he's good. But then he loses games. Like, and in this one particularly, if we look at the box scores here, you know, 22 for 37, not the best completion percentage, 220, 10 yards of completion, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. You look at Dak, he's not that much better, but I don't know, the numbers aren't terrible, but they're not winning games. And this is a situation where I'm not going to blame the defense that much, at least. 20 points is not terrible. They pressured Dak Prescott, held him to only 1 touchdown pass, but man, Justin, we gotta see some wins. We can't blame the coaching, the defense, the everything. At some point, you got to overcome things, and I felt like at Oregon, he threw a great ball, had all the arm talent, had the intangibles, seems like a great leader. But then I'd see him in games and I just didn't, that special didn't jump across the screen to me. Patrick Mahomes, you watch him, you're like, that's some of the best quarterback play I've ever seen. Josh Allen's out here just putting the team on his shoulders. Joe Burrow's getting sacked 1 billion times and making it to a Super Bowl. If you want to get put into that category, Justin Herbert, which a lot of people want to lump him in there, I got to see more wins. And he just wasn't good enough. And that's unfortunate for Chargers fans. You got this huge contract. You've tried we got to try a new coach. I think that's the only option. Try and get some juice into this offense. Get some juice into the defense. But the defense was a little better, but the Chargers find a way to lose. And this has been the Chargers for like a decade at this point. They just find a way to lose games. And it's crazy. It's crazy. And I think a coaching change would help. You got to change the culture there. It's just a culture that finds a way to lose games, and that's really unfortunate. So let me know what you think down below. That is the rapid fire every single game of the week. My thoughts on them, what I think it means for the teams moving forward. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this week's games. Specifically, I want to hear talks on the Chargers-Cowboys. What do you think about Justin Herbert? How do you fix the LA Chargers now? It feels like a decade, over a decade maybe, of just finding a way to lose games. So let me know what you think they need to do to fix it down in the comments, and we'll see you tomorrow.